Afternoon all, this is Tayo and you're watching DJsounds.com. I think music has definitely changed from when I kind of started, as it were. I mean, people have always been quite hung up. People used to be a lot more hung up about categories and so on. You know, if you played, the breakbeat police would complain if you played some house records, and house DJs wouldn't take you seriously if you were known for something else, really. Do you know what I mean? So what's really good? Well, London's always been a bit different. The UK's always been different because you've always been able to play a little bit more of what you wanted. But really and truly now, there's so much music around that defies all kinds of categories. You know, is that a dubstep record? Is that a garage record? You know, it's house music, it's 4/4 music, but it's got a heavier kind of bass to it, you know, and the kind of stuff that the Dirty Bird guys or Jesse Rose is doing is kind of playing hip hop. It's house music with a kind of a hip hop vibe to it almost, and you know, so right now it's an insanely exciting time where and people seem to have been, people put the categories away a bit because there's so much different stuff that defies as I say, categorization. So there's music I hear on Rinse which, if it was played by Leo and Bushwhacker, then people probably wouldn't know that they'd liked it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like the music is doing the talking, and anyone's allowed to play it now. So it's about as exciting as it's ever been. It's more daunting than it's ever been because there's so much of it. And you have to release, you know, sort of sift through the kind of wheat and the chaff to make sure that you've got a hype record box still. And the other thing as well, from a sort of professional DJ point of view, is that because there's so much stuff accessible on the internet, you've got to dig a lot deeper to still be fresh and to make sure that you're different from, you know, the 10 guys at the front of your DJ set who are looking there going, oh yeah, I've got that one. So it's really important to keep digging. So yeah, that's how I say music's changed. There's so much of it. Musically, making music, I've always done it when I felt like it. I mean, that's one of the things about the way things have gone now, is that you're supposed to release all the time to keep your momentum up. I kind of make music when I feel like it. And what I feel like making at the moment, what I've been working with an old partner of mine called Acid Rockers again. And we've been making dub music, steppers reggae vibes with dubstep elements to it, along the lines of, you know, my hero, which is Rob Smith from Smith and Mighty, and the Mungo's Hi-Fi crew in Scotland. So I've been making a lot of dub music, and putting a release together with a guy in France called Papa Jim, who I've been working with very closely, a vocalist, and I'm going to put it out through various labels over the next few months, basically. Yeah, so I'm making a lot of dub, making a lot of reggae music, because that's kind of where my head's at. I still try and mess around making dance floor kind of bangers, if you will, but really and truly I want to make roots music, and that's what you're going to be hearing from me over the next year. I started doing a breakbeat club all the way back in '97 called Friction with Adam Freeland and Rennie Pilgrim, and that was my kind of opportunity to, you know, sort of make a bit of a name for myself. And I ran a label at the time, a breakbeat label called Mob Records at the time, and from that just started playing, first of all in London, then across the UK, and then fortunately across the world. At the same time, I've always had a bit of a fascination, a secret love for house music, so I started a house music club called Rooty with Felix, well, with both the boys from Bassment Jaxx, and one of my best mates called Frank Tope. So crisscrossing around, playing breakbeat here, playing house there, doing radio shows for Kiss and for Radio 1 briefly, and I've kind of settled into being a bass music specialist, sort of wherever it takes me. So yeah, breakbeat, dubstep, garage, all kinds of music, I guess. The good thing now is that there's a lot less categories than there were, but I play most of them. Well, the first label I got involved with was, it's called Mob Records, and we released Stanton Warriors records from Ashley Beadle, from Rennie Pilgrim, all those kind of things. And it was very vinyl, of course, it was very vinyl based, and then you released your kind of albums on CD. And the good thing about then, as opposed to now, the only good thing I'd say is that the quality control was higher because of the costs of vinyl and so on. To actually get something onto a piece of vinyl to go in the shops had to go through a more rigorous process. Now that meant that you had to think a lot about what you were releasing. I think a bit more. Now it is very easy to make a tune, release a fairly poor quality version of it out into the ether, and it's good that it's been democratized. The internet's democratized so stuff can get out there more instantly without having to go through the hoops of a distributor and so on. But equally, it just means that there's a load of rubbish out there as well. And as far as piracy or just giving away stuff for free, I've got no problem with it, because I think it's gone that way because the market has taken it that way. And someone like Prince, when he released his album for free via a newspaper, the old guard kind of complained about that, but then he spent the whole summer camped out at the O2, selling out the O2. So you make your money, as it were, from your live performance, which in our world is DJing. So I've got no problem with it. I think maybe labels and artists have to maybe box a bit cleverer and think of ways of getting people to, if it's special versions that are only released on vinyl. I know certain dubstep labels which only release on vinyl still, and they've got really healthy sales. I'm thinking of Digital Mystics, DMZ. It's the way it's gone. I've got absolutely no problem with it, but then maybe because I don't make enough music to have my stuff kind of pirated, then someone else might tell you something different. It can be galling if you've worked really hard on something and then someone's giving it away for free, but it also means that you've got more followers, more people in tune to yourself as a brand, and you've got more people to interact with. So if that's what the market forces want, there's people who've never bought vinyl, there's people who've never bought albums. You know, who are we to sit here and say that people should consume stuff the way that we consumed it 5, 10, 15 years ago? If you asked me 15 years ago whether I'd be DJing without a record box, then I would never have believed you. But you know, if I was still DJing only with my record box, then I'd be missing out on so much more. So progress is progress. I've been curious about the CDJ 2000s before I actually got my own, and I've had from the 100, which I've got. Look at that, old school. I've had one of these from day one, and first of all, it was records and CDs together, then just CDs, and I'm curious. It's been brilliant today, actually, with you coming round to show me how to all the features from it, because I think I've just been kind of almost just pressing play on the CDJ 1000. It's been a bit of a waste. It's going to be really useful for me to do podcast radio shows from here, because of just ways of setting up my cue points and setting up cue points, from being able to make the show as slick as possible on the fly, which is quite intuitive. It moves quite quickly. While I'm talking to you now, I could have set up these kind of. While I'm talking to you now, I could have set up these tunes in such a way that I'm not playing 3-minute intros or whatever. So it's going to kind of work really intuitively and really quickly for me. I've been DJing another way in the clubs, but the idea of being able to go out with just a hard drive and operate as effectively as I have been is is really exciting, basically, and to have everything analysed on record box, and it means I can do some really good preparation here, and be really effective in the clubs. I've been watching James Abelia for a while, quite jealously, kind of make the toy his own. Yeah, with these set up here now, then I'm coming at you, James.